Have you ever listened to Finnish and Japanese and never thought that they sound very alike? Well, if you have, then you're in the right place because today we are going to be talking about why they sound so similar. If you haven't, we'll stick around anyways because this is going to be an interesting video comparing two different languages. Despite Finnish and Japanese being completely unrelated, Finnish being a Ural-Altaic language while Japanese is a Japonic one, they have many similarities that make them sound very similar to somebody who might not speak either language. But before we get into that, how about listening to a sample of each language side by side?
Suurin nykyinen suomen kieltä ulkomailla puhuvien ryhmä on syntynyt sodan jälkeisen muuttoliikkeen tuloksena Ruotsiin. Suomen kieli on voimakkaasti taipuva, agglutinoiva kieli.
親譲りの無鉄砲で、子供の時から損ばかりしている。小学校にいる自分。学校の2階から飛び降りて、1週間ほど腰を抜かしたことがある。なぜそんなむやみをしたと聞く人があるかもしれぬ。
You can hear the similarities, right? Now let's get into why they sound so similar. Japanese has a pretty small vowel inventory, while Finnish has a very big one, more than twice as big as the Japanese one. However, it's the way vowels are pronounced which makes them similar. In reality, the only thing they have in common in their phonetic inventory are their consonants, which we will look at right now. Now here's a chart with all the consonants that both languages have in common. The reason that p and b are bolded is because in Japanese, it is a stop. Actually, the word stop is a stop. Notice that when you end the word stop, the entire sound gets cut off. Compare this to Finish's plosive, which is when air is released after a stop. Plosive is an example too. Listen, plosive. So in theory, all plosives are stops, but not all stops are plosives. Same thing goes for k and g. Honestly, for two completely unrelated languages, it's a pretty big amount of similarities. Now, vowels play an important role in why the two languages sound so similar. In Finnish, vowel length is important and can change the meaning of a word. For example, tuli means fire, while tuuli means wind. In Japanese, vowel length isn't important, but it is a feature that gives Japanese a nice rhythm that the West is obsessed about. Furthermore, in Finnish, vowel stress usually lands on the first vowel of a word. However, usually all syllables have equal stress, with it changing only sometimes due to inflection, vowel harmony, etc. This makes Finnish have a specific rhythm instead of being randomly stressed like English. In Japanese, the same thing happens with each syllable having the same amount of stress, with pitch accent changing up the pattern. Both languages have very limited syllable structures, with Finnish only having a little bit more freedom when it comes to consonant clusters. Consonant clusters in Japanese are very limited, and the only consonants allowed at the end of a syllable are usually only doubled consonants, for example, double K, and a nasal sound n. We have discussed Finnish consonant clusters before. However, in contrast to Japanese, Finnish allows for clusters of up to 3 consonants at the end or beginning of a word, but it's not too common, usually only found in loanwords. Now, double consonants are common at the end of syllables in both languages, along with the nasal sound n, because it is a common suffix in Finnish. Double consonants are usually called geminate consonants. Here are some examples. For geminate consonants, we have, quick disclaimer, I don't speak either language, so it might sound incorrect, but I'll try my best. Tekiri, surely. Shikari, firmly. For Finnish, hypi, jump. Vappu, mayday. For the final n, san, Mr. Miss. Kanji, Chinese characters used in Japanese writing. And for Finnish, omenan, of the apple. Talon, of the house. One more quick similarity that probably doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, because a lot of languages share this classification and don't sound too similar, is that Finnish and Japanese are agglutinative languages, meaning that they contain multiple morphemes. Morphemes can be an entire word, a suffix, or a single letter, and they connect these morphemes together to create words and sentences. However, I brought this up also for another reason, which I will get into right now. A very controversial language family theory that at this point is basically abandoned is the Ural-Altaic language family. This is a language family that proposed that the Ural-Altaic languages, which includes Finnish, Estonian, and Hungarian, and the Altaic languages, a controversial language family that included Turkic, Mongolic, Japonic, and Koreanic languages into one family were connected. However, it is interesting that this was a proposed language family hundreds of years ago, and I am making a video on why these two languages sound similar. Obviously, I don't believe in this theory. There's actually more evidence that disputes this claim, but rather, I believe that these languages' proto-ancestors may have interacted at some point, but even that may be a stretch. It's most likely all a coincidence, and they just happen to evolve very similarly. However, it did bring up another topic, the Japonic-Koreanic theory, claiming that Japanese and Korean, and other small languages included in these two families, may have been one language at one point, but we'll save that discussion for another video. Alright guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and make sure to check out my Finnish language video if you enjoyed this one. It's a full analysis that delves deeper into some aspects that we mentioned here, and there you can decide for yourself if it sounds similar to Japanese at all. Anyways, that's going to be the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.